Hello and welcome to another Tuesday evening. After a bit of a break, we're back. As you know, I was away for the summer and the internet was pretty bad. So by the time we got back on track, it's been a bit of a while. But we are now rolling and continuing with the Shamati articles as usual. I'm going to carry on with number 13, which is called A Pomegranate. All right, just in time for the pomegranate season as well. All right. If you have any questions, as usual, you can shoot them through and we'll try to answer them as best we can. And let's get started. Shamati number 13, a pomegranate. A pomegranate, he said, implies to what our sages said, even the vain ones among you are filled with mitzvot like a pomegranate. He said, Rimon, pomegranate, comes from the word romemut, exaltedness, sublimity, which is above reason. And the meaning will be that the vain among you are filled with mitzvot. The measure of the filling is the extent to which one can go above reason. And this is called romemut, exaltedness. There is emptiness only in a place where there is no existence, as in the earth hangs on nothing. You find out what is the measure of the filling of the empty place. The answer is the extent to which one raises oneself above reason. This means that the emptiness should be filled with exaltedness, meaning with above reason, and to ask of the Creator to give him that strength. This will mean that all the emptiness was created, meaning it comes to a person to feel this way, that he's empty, only in order to fill it with sublimity or exaltedness of the Creator. In other words, one is to take everything above reason. This is the meaning of the verse, God has made it that he will be feared. This means that these thoughts of emptiness come to a person in order for one to have a need to take upon himself faith above reason. And for this, we need the help of the Creator. It follows that at that time, one must ask the Creator to give him the power to believe above reason. It turns out that it is precisely then that one needs the Creator to help him, since the exterior mind lets him understand the opposite. Hence, at that time, one has no other choice but to ask the Creator to help him. It is said about this, one's desire overcomes him every day, and were it not for the Creator, he would not overcome it. It follows that only then is the state when one understands that no one will help him but the Creator. And this is God has made it, that he will be feared. The matter of fear is discerned as faith, and only then is one in need of the salvation of the Creator. Right. Okay, so it's basically explaining what we have to do with all the desires that we have. Any questions? No? We're all good? Okay, let's go over it paragraph by paragraph, okay? It's a very important article. All of Shamati is important, okay? All of the Shamati articles are very, very important. And if we get to learn from them properly, we'll know how to do inner work, okay? And the most important thing when we're studying spirituality is to do inner work, which means I'm always evaluating the states that I'm going through. And if you don't do that, you're wasting time. So you don't want to be wasting time not evaluating, not thinking, not measuring, I don't know, just, you got to work spirituality. Like children play with Play-Doh. Right, so that's really important. And if we don't do it, like I said, we won't progress. Okay. So let's read it again and we'll go paragraph by paragraph. Now, Shamati number 13, a pomegranate. A pomegranate, he said, implies to what our sages said, even the vain ones among you are filled with mitzvot like a pomegranate. He said, Rimon, the word for pomegranate in Hebrew, comes from the word romemut, which is exaltedness, which is above reason. And the meaning will be that the vain among you are filled with mitzvot. The measure of the filling is the extent to which one can go above reason, and this is called romemut. Okay? So a pomegranate, as you know, is a fruit, and it's got a lot of, it has a lot of seeds in it, right? It's like corn. So there are a lot of corrections that a person has to do. That's what it's implying to us. So it's like all of these little pomegranate granules are corrections that we have to go through, all of our desires that we have to go above reason. And in one whole, there are many. So all of those little granules make one pomegranate, and all of the desires in us make one man. So what we have to do is take all our desires, individual desires, and raise them above our desire to receive for ourselves. So we want to make sure we have an intention to bestow above the desire to receive. And then we can talk about the exaltedness, the sublimity. And that's what's called a mitzvot. Mitzvot means a good deed. Okay, when I do something good. In spirituality, doing something good means I'm correcting myself. There's nothing good about anything else you're doing. Okay, doing good means I correct myself. And this is why the article is saying that, listen, there are so many things inside of us that we need to correct, and we need to raise them to above reason, which means that we have to make sure that the desire is above our desire to receive for ourselves. Remember, the desire to receive for ourselves is an intention. So there's a desire to receive pleasure, which is fine, no problem. Okay. But if we use the desire to receive pleasure with the intention for self-fulfillment, then that's egoism. And what we want to do is to make sure that the desire is not connected to our egoism. So we have to go above reason, which means I have to disconnect from my egoism. I have to be above my ego, disconnected from it. And that's why it's saying all of you are filled with mitzvot, which means good deeds, which means corrections. Okay. And what does it say? The measure of the filling is the extent to which one can go above reason, and this is called romemut, okay, which is exaltedness. So every time I go above my desire to receive for myself, we're taking one step up to being exalted, which is being closer to the attribute of love and bestowal. And if we're more connected, we're closer to the attribute of love and bestowal. It means we're closer to the Creator, because Creator's attributes are love and bestowal. Accordingly, the only way to be close to the Creator is to be good. And to be good means I correct myself, and then I use my desire to bestow afterwards. There's emptiness only in a place where there's no existence, as in the earth hangs on nothing. You find that. What is the measure of the filling of the empty place? The answer is the extent to which one raises oneself above reason. Right? So in life, we're finding ourselves always in emptiness, because every time we have a desire, we feel empty because we want fulfillment. And every time we fulfill our desire, the fulfillment cancels the desire. So you're left empty again. And thus, henceforth, you're in a rat race. Okay? All your life. And then all of a sudden, you get old and you die. Right? Not much to look forward to, but that's the situation. So what we want to do in the wisdom of Kabbalah is to really understand how to position myself towards life from my nature so that I can be compatible to the nature of the Creator. Right? So that compatibility is what we're trying to do. All right? And that's called in nature what? Balance. Okay? So we want to be in balance with the Creator. And the only way to be in balance with the Creator is if I can raise myself above my desire to receive for myself. Because every time I have a desire to receive for myself, I am left with a lack, which means I can never be in balance if I'm constantly in a lack. All right, because I'm in a desire to receive all the time. Being in a desire to receive means I lack something, which means I lack perfection. I've got no perfection, zilch, nothing. So in order to raise ourselves to what it says as romemut, sublimity, we have to go above all the desire to receive. We have to go above all of the desire to receive. Okay, and because we have so many stuff coming up, it says you're like a pomegranate. A lot of things to correct inside of us. Sometimes it's written as 613 mitzvot, sometimes 620. In general, what we have to understand is that we all need to get corrected, and there is a lot of things to do. This means that the emptiness should be filled with exaltedness. This is an important sentence. Sometimes it doesn't really register with us when we're reading Shamati because it's quite old. It's about, I guess, about 100 years old, or nearly. Emptiness should be filled with exaltedness, meaning with above reason, and to ask of the Creator to give him that strength. Okay. If I get stuck in my desire to receive for myself, I can never elevate myself. It's just not going to happen. So I need to use the desire to receive as a leverage. If I use it as a leverage and I raise myself above the desire so that the desire is no longer controlling me, but I am on top of the desire, okay? Then it's a different ball game. Then I've raised myself. Okay, and that's what it means when he says filled with exaltedness. Exaltedness means I'm elevating myself above my desire to receive from myself, meaning with above reason, and to ask of the Creator to give him that strength. This is also very important because a person doesn't have the strength to do this. Why? How can we? Our nature is a desire to receive for ourselves. How am I ever going to go above reason? I can't. I cannot ask a donkey to be a human being. It's just not making sense. It's the same kind of thing. Our desire is like a donkey, and we can't go up to him and say, okay, now I'm going to teach you a few tricks, and you are going to be human. It's not going to work out. We need a miracle. So for our nature to change, a person must have a need to change. And to come to the need to change, he has to go through all of those desires, which is the whole article about, the pomegranate, right? All of the desires that I have. I have to go through all that in order to understand and build a need and a desire for the Creator's help. So this whole process of life, if you also look at your life as well, you'll see there are many ups and downs. And more often than not, life is just slapping you around. And slowly, slowly, this slapping around brings you to the question, what am I doing with my life? What's the meaning of my life anyway? And then afterwards, if you start studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, then you're still getting slapped. But now it's meaningful because you understand what you have to do with it. Before, you didn't understand what you had to do with it. And so your life was a big confusion and a big mess. This is why you were searching, right? And afterwards, when you enter the wisdom of Kabbalah, now you are more spot on with what you have to correct and why you have to correct. And if you understand that, then you begin to understand that you need an outside force to change yourself. And this is why a person slowly builds a need for the Creator. This will This will mean that all the emptiness was created, meaning it comes to a person to feel this way, that he is empty only in order to fill it with the Romemut of the Creator. In other words, one is to take everything above reason. So every time I have a desire to receive, I want to make sure that bestowing with that desire is more important than using it for my own benefit. If I use my desire for myself, I am in animal mode. If I stop myself, don't use it, think about it, and then figure out how I can use it in order to bestow, then I am in human mode. All right. That figuring out process is where we need the Creator, because a person can't figure it out on his own. This is why the study should bring you to a prayer, which means a need for the help of the Creator. All right, not just words in our mouths, but inside we should feel that we lack the Creator. I need help, okay, to change myself. And this is the most important thing. This is why going above the reason, above the desire, meaning above reason, is very important, because by doing so, you're also building a demand, a prayer in you. This is the meaning of the verse, God has made it that he will be feared. This means that these thoughts of emptiness comes to a person in order for one to have a need to take upon himself faith above reason. Once again, you see, every time we stumble, it's called fear. And every time we fail, it helps us build the need for the Creator. So a person gets a lot of bad thoughts, okay? A lot of bad thoughts, and I mean bad, okay? You will get them. And this is actually good for the person on the one hand, right? There's nothing bad about it. We understand that by having these bad desires and thoughts coming up inside of us, we would begin to understand that this is what we are. Okay, not a pretty sight. And that realization is good, because accordingly, you want to change, because over time, you'll see that you will not want to be bad. Okay, it will make you sick. Okay, you see yourself more and more, and you will feel sick from being what you are. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of people don't see that they're evil. A lot of people, well, many people, look at the planet, who sees themselves as bad? Everybody justifies themselves. Everybody does what they want to do, and everybody's got a correct and good reason for doing what they want to do. And the whole world, as you can see, is in a big mess because everybody thinks they're doing the right thing. So nobody really understands how life works and what they're doing and why they're doing it. So we have to be really sharp and, on the edge, like sharp as always observing inside of us. What kind of desires do I have? What kind of thoughts am I getting? Okay. And then as I see these flaws in me, I'll begin to want to become closer to the Creator. What does that mean? It means I will begin to want to be something else, something different, something better, something not this. Why not this? Because we don't know what bestowal is at the moment. We don't. So by understanding what we don't want to be, we come to the correct demand of, we come to the right demand of love and bestowal, even though we don't know what love and bestowal is. Does that make sense? Hating evil is the same thing as loving good, just from a different perspective. Right? Should make sense. In spirituality, everything should make sense. Slowly, slowly, it should all settle down, because as you get to notice, identify how your nature works, you begin to make sense of the study, of the articles, and of the kind of direction you need to take. And for this, we need the help of the Creator. So we cannot go above reason. We cannot go above reason if we don't have the help of the Creator. Okay, simply because we are incapable of changing our nature. Above reason means bestowal. It follows that at that time, one must ask the Creator to give him the power to believe above reason. So every time I feel bad about the egoistic state I find myself in, I should want from the Creator the power to go above reason. Okay, so the more evil is revealed to a person, the better. Now, in normal spiritual things out there, on the rest of the planet, people don't want to deal with bad things. Okay, they want to feel good. Right? At the end of the day, spirituality has a great reputation for making you feel good. But you will absolutely have no idea about what the meaning of life is or how you're going to attain it while living in this world. Okay? You can feel good, but you'll still end up dead with nothing. Okay? So it doesn't really make sense. If you're looking for the truth, you're not hooked up on feeling good. You're hooked up on knowing what the truth is. Okay? And that's the difference between the wisdom of truth, as they say, for the wisdom of Kabbalah, than all the other spiritual methods and religions out there. I'm not disqualifying them. Obviously, everybody has a need for something else. But when we're studying spirituality according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, we have to understand that above reason means being at an elevated state of truth. Okay? And truth is also the other name for the Creator, which is called Emet, is the Creator. It's called truth, attaining the truth. So a person should always want to see where he can elevate himself and always ask the Creator for help, because you will see that you can't take yourself above yourself. We need help, just like children need help, okay? If you've got kids, you know, you grab them by the arm, under the arm, and you take them on your lap, right? And you walk with them. What are you doing, actually? You're raising them to your level, aren't you? So they begin to see life from where you're looking at it. And the Creator wants to do the same thing. And this is what the study is all about. So he wants to raise us to a place where we can see the same things from the same perspective. It turns out that it's precisely then that one needs the Creator to help him, since the exterior mind lets him understand the opposite. Exterior minds means corporeality. Corporeality means my egoistic nature. That's what corporeality means. Hence, at that time, one has no other choice but to ask the Creator to help him. And that's just how it is. No other choice. Just like children, when they want something and they can't do it, they will give you a headache until you get it done for them. And this is exactly how the person should be with the Creator. Constantly on top of his game, asking and asking and asking, but where's the bestowal? Well, when am I going to get bestowal? When are you going to give him bestowal? How's this going to work out? Come on. If you constantly nag him, then you will get what you want. As they say, no milk for not crying. Now you're only going to get milk if you cry. That's just how it is. So, hence at that time one has no choice but to ask the Creator to help him. It is said about this, one's desire overcomes him every day. This is another very important sentence. You will find that every day our ego is stronger, and we will need more power to overcome him. If I keep myself steady, or stationary, it's not really going to work out. In life, you always have to move. You just have to keep progressing. Just like children grow up every day. Okay. With kids, as they're growing up, every week is important. Every day is important, right? Let's say there's a 6 months age difference between one child and another child. That's a big gap. Okay? That's a big gap in terms of child behavior. So for us as well, we have to understand as we're growing up spiritually, we have to understand that we have to constantly move. You can't waste your days. As we get older, we tend to do that. It's not a very smart way to live. So what we want to do is to make sure that our day-to-day work is ongoing so that I can constantly see something new about my nature and how I cannot go above it. So my egoism is constantly defeating me. Okay? This is something I must see. So we must not be afraid to see the evil inside of us, or we shouldn't be afraid or disappointed with the, desire to receive winning over us all the time. It is not a reason to be disappointed. It is a good reason to see what we are. If we keep seeing that, then it'll bring us closer and closer to a correct demand. It'll bring us closer to nagging all the time so that we can, push and push and push the Creator to give us a hand. And were it not for the Creator, he would not overcome it. So if we don't get an outside force, we're not going to make it. Now, one should, if you're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah with us, you should really clarify for yourself where you're going to get that strength. Okay, so here's a question, right? Were it not for the Creator, he would not overcome it. So where is the Creator so I can overcome it? Okay, so that's a question. We should write down, where is the Creator? Where am I supposed to find the strength to overcome my desire to receive? Especially if it's constantly winning over me every day, every day, every day, every day. It follows that only then is the state when one understands that no one will help him but the Creator. Now, this is really important. Sometimes a lot of friends say, well, I'm in this business for like years and I'm not getting any help and the Creator isn't around and I don't know what to do with myself. Okay. This is a silly approach. Why is it a silly approach? It's a childish approach. Okay, let's not say silly. It's an immature and childish approach. Why? Because at the end of the day, I have to look at what I'm doing from my perspective. The Creator doesn't have to do anything. It's me who wants to get spiritual. Right? So I should do my best to get spiritual. And whatever happens, then whatever happens, it's fine. If you think like that, it'll be smarter. If you don't think that way, you'll be like a bunch of people out there who are always blaming the Creator for their bad destiny. Not a very smart thing to do either. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if I was to leave everything to the Creator and say everything is my destiny, then if you don't go to work, make money, and buy some food and put it on the table, you are going to starve to death. Yes? Yes, yes, you are. Okay. So common sense and logic tells us that a person must nevertheless do whatever is in their hand to progress. And not worry about when the Creator is going to do something. Always worry about what I'm going to do today to advance, to move forward. Okay? And if I understand that there's no one else but the Creator that can help me, then all day I'll be in that thought as well, which is fine. But that doesn't stop me from doing the work. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because reading something and believing it and taking it for granted is not going to solve our problems. We read, we study, we do, we come to the feeling and sensation and understanding that I can't change myself. And then I can demand from the Creator. And this is God has made it that he will be feared. The matter of fear is discerned as faith, and only then is one in need of the salvation of the Creator. So what should be your fear? You should ask yourself, what am I going to fear? What should I be fearing? Everyone in their current situation, since we're reading the article, right, should take something from the article as to their state now. Okay, so what does it mean to go above reason for me now, according to what I feel and what I understand? What does it mean to fear the Creator as I feel and understand right now? What are the desires that I cannot overcome? I have to see what I cannot overcome. All right. So for me to see the desires that I cannot overcome, I need to be in the application of the study. Because it's not talking about your diet. Because it's not talking about corporeal stuff. It's not talking about overcoming your desire to eat chocolate or cake or whatever. If that was the case, I would never make it. Okay, so thank goodness we can eat all the chocolate we want. Right? So one has to think, what are the desires that it's talking about here? Right? Where am I going to see these things in me that I really should want to be above? Do you see what I mean? So this is also a good article where we can start to discern and make a bit more sharper analysis as to what is part of our spiritual work and what isn't. Because otherwise you're going to start doing things like they do in corporeality, restricting themselves on corporeal stuff, which won't work. It never worked. And in the 21st century, we see they can't even do that either. Okay, so everybody's doing whatever they want to do. They can't stop themselves, no matter what religion they're in. Impossible. Okay, so we have to understand what to do with the desire, but what desire are we talking about? So all of these things are very important for a person to understand and discern in the work. Any questions? There are. Well, why don't you tell me then? Let's see. Where are the questions? Nazan's asking. But that's like in Turkish, isn't it? Okay, Ingrid's asking. Can one ask to be raised above desires only if those are good through all those desires? And are these the stepping stones to attain the Creator? Let me just read that again. Can one ask to be raised above the desires? Yeah, you can. You should be able to ask for anything which you feel is going to bring you closer to the attribute of love and bestowal. Okay? So overcoming your egoism, wanting to love the friends more, wanting to bestow more, all those things are helpful. Helen is asking, is being desperate the solution? it's not a solution on its own. It's not a solution on its own. Sometimes we get desperate and so on, but a need for the creator is more than desperation. It's not desperation. It's like an aspiration. Pradeep is asking, when you ask for your desires to be corrected, how do you make sure the answer was from the creator and not my ego? Well, that's the whole idea. This is why in the article it says nobody else can help him but the creator. So the attribute of bestowal being clothed in a person should be crystal clear. If we have doubts, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? So in spirituality, you see, when you attain spirituality, everything is far clear. In fact, much more clear than what we have here. Mm-hmm. Until then, you're always going to be tricked by your ego. How else can other way be? Khan's asking, Shamati 13 is the commandment measured by intention or action. In spirituality, intention is the action. So you correct your intention, that is called an action. It's called a mitzvah. Mitzvah means a commandment. Right? So then you've done a commandment. Ejem's asking, changing our nature feels like a very hypocritical act. One day I'm bad, the next I'm good. No, you're always bad. When did you see the good? When did you see good? You can't see good. You can only see good if you clothe yourself with the attribute of bestowal. You can only see good when you're above your desire to receive. But in your current situation, one day good, one day bad. Now, every day I'm bad. That's what the article is saying. He's saying every day my evil inclination overcomes me, right? This is what we read at the bottom. Last paragraph. It is said about this. One's desire overcomes him every day. And were it not for the Creator, he would not overcome it. So every day I'm seeing I'm bad. I'm not seeing I'm good. Okay. In the study, what does it mean? If it was not for the Creator, he would not overcome it. It means if a person keeps studying, he'll have the power to continue. He can't overcome it, but he can continue. Right? This is why sometimes we'll have friends who they don't stick around. Why? Because they haven't invested what they should have invested in the study. So, they can't overcome it. But if you keep investing in the study, despite the fact that your ego is defeating you every day, then you get the power to continue. And then you will see, oh, that was also from the Creator. Sarah is asking, if understanding the truth requires seeing the truth, how can we preserve ourselves within this science until we see it? It's precisely if you keep pushing and moving forward, you will discover yourself, and self-discovery is the truth. What you feel is your truth. Okay, what a person feels is their truth. So otherwise, there's no other way to measure absolute truth. Do you see what I mean? Because I look at life, everybody looks at life from their own perspective. So there's always your truth. So as you advance, according to what you feel, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, and everything, right? And on top of that, the understanding comes, then that is your truth. This is why everybody will have their own truth. In life, we also see it. Everybody's got their own opinion. Why? Because everybody has their own truth. There is no way to measure truth until a person really is in spirituality. How can you measure truth in spirituality? Because then you have the recognition of evil, which on the other side is also giving you the recognition of what's against that evil, the good against the evil. Okay? Just like we can understand, let's say I do something bad to somebody. Okay. Let's say today I did something bad and tomorrow I understood that was a bad thing, right? So the only thing I can do is not to do it again. Okay. In spirituality, you're not just in a state of not doing it again. You are in a state of correcting the action so it can be for the good. And that is what becomes clear. And that's the clarity of spirituality. This is why our world is always like blurry. We never know what's really truth. And then you study more and more, you get more confused. Life is only good to the dumb. When you're smart and working on yourself, it's just more and more confusing. All the time, you have to kind of constantly work. Even what you see to be true today, tomorrow you'll see it was just a lie. Nazan's asking, dear mentor, how can one see that the desires which overcome him daily are actually a means to call for the Creator's help? You can only realize that by studying all the time, just like we're reading this article now. Okay, this is why do we study articles all the time? Okay, and we're in fact this is the second time we're doing it, I think, if not more. Okay, I probably read this article maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 times. And if you think about all the articles, the books, we're constantly going over the same stuff, right? Why are we going over the same stuff all the time? Because you're changing every day. So every time you change from the material that we read, you should be able to see something new. Okay? Emotic is asking, ask meaning verbally. I didn't understand that question. Oh, ask meaning verbally? Well, verbally at the moment, yes. But a prayer in the wisdom of Kabbalah is only a feeling in the heart. It's a lack. Okay, look in the article as well. It's a good question, but we have to understand this. Where does it say? There's a lack in a person. There is emptiness only in a place where there's no existence, as in the earth hangs on nothing. You find that the measure of the filling of the empty place. The answer is the extent to which one raises oneself above reason. This means that the emptiness should be filled with exaltedness. So a person's prayer, asking, is actually an emptiness. But until a person gets to the feeling that he really feels empty and he has absolutely no words, until then you will have to use words. There's no other way to compensate or complete what you're trying to attain, because it's not a feeling yet. And if it's not a feeling yet, you are intellectualizing what you should be wanting according to what we're studying. All right? That's why over time, as we study more and more, we should begin to feel that this is me and there's nothing I can do about it. But I want to do something about it. So the only thing a person can do is then ask, okay, from the lack. It's okay is asking, how is our connection measured in the group? Whew. Look, measurements are difficult to do, but you can think of it this way. Am I getting strength from the group in order to constantly be in demand? Okay, that's a measurement tool. It's not a measurement maybe in spirituality as you're advancing, but the more I'm in demand, it's a sign that we're working good in the group, because a prayer works better as a correction. A prayer is the recognition of evil. After the recognition of evil, a prayer is a person asking for correction. So if I'm constantly in that, the more I'm in that, you could call it a measurement if you measure yourself day by day. Ingrid's asking how not to hate the Creator for giving me this bad nature. That's a tough one, Ingrid, because we're all in that dilemma. Every now and then you're going to have a bad day with the Creator. It just happens. All of us have that. All of us. There won't be a time when you're on good terms with the Creator all the time. It just doesn't happen. Okay. But we're like kids. Sometimes kids want things and you say, no, I'm not going to buy you that. It's not good for you. And then they call you a bad daddy. Okay? It's just how it is. You know you're doing the right thing. The kid doesn't know you're doing the right thing. So according to the kid, you're a bad dad. So according to us, sometimes the creator is a bad creator. But we need to grow up, mature up, and we really want to see life through the creator's eyes. And this is why the material is so important. This is why we must constantly be going over the material, like, oh, this is what I need to do. That's what I should be doing. This is what I should be going through. So what should I be doing with this? Because I'm feeling like that. Okay. So the material, the articles, the books, everything that we're reading really should be like a guide to what I'm supposed to be doing with all the things I'm going through. And it should build in me, this inner work should build in me slowly, slowly a maturity. And as we get mature, you'll get over it. Patricia's asking, I don't always know right from wrong until receiving a negative reaction. How to fix what happened? If you don't get a negative reaction, you never learn anything. All our life, we learn from experiences which are normally not great. Yeah. So experience is normally negative, and when it's negative, that's when we learn best. So what can you do with it? Well, you can't fix what it's done, but you can take a lesson from what you've learned. So you've done something, you've gotten feedback. The feedback was bad. Okay, fair enough. We all make mistakes. So how am I going to do things next time round? What am I going to do now to fix it? There's only one thing that's really negative in us. And if we have a bad kind of a relationship with a friend, and what we'd want to do is to fix that if we did something wrong against our friendship. Okay? Other than that, we're all guilty. All right, look what it's saying. You guys are all like a pomegranate. It means full of bad, bad things. Okay. So what can you do? All right, what can you do? The important thing, though, is to learn and to see how I'm supposed to, work with it. If it's something bad, I shouldn't do it again. If I do it again, then I know it wasn't in my hand, because every day my ego is overcoming me again. So then once again, a person turns to the creator. Why? We make a lot of mistakes. We make the same mistake a lot of times. And it keeps coming around and round and round and round. And we're thinking, why am I going through the same stuff all the time? Okay, it happens. But that's necessity. That's to show a person that you can't overcome anything. Yesterday you thought you could overcome it. Today you couldn't again. And this is why a person feels a need for the creator. So this is why I say, and the Kabbalists are saying it's not a bad thing. It's like it's a necessity for us to feel a connection with the creator. Okay, Pelin's asking, this is the last question we'll take. Are constant shifts in emotion during which reality itself is continuously reshaped considered a good state? Everything you're going through is good. Not from your perspective, maybe, but from the creator's perspective, it's all good. Okay. All right. So we'll call it a night. You guys have a good night. It's good to be back on a Tuesday night. And we'll carry on with Shamati number 14 next week. Have a great day. Have a great night. Bye-bye.